Hi, everyone. My name's Clarence. I'm an alcoholic here in Hawaii. And my home group is Malia Discussion. I've had that home group for 32 years now. And thank you, Diana, for reminding me and having me to share here. I, uh, you know, I started off when I was born. Before I could leave the hospital, I had to be put in an incubator. I suffered from asthma and other things. And then I was left out. And then I come to Alcoholics Anonymous. And this is my incubator. Where I came from, my best friend had 12-step me into these rooms. And we both wanted to stop. I don't know how many of you folks have a best friend when you was out there. But he was my best friend, and I've known him since I was 11 years old. And he was one of the hoodlums of six brothers that I knew, but I didn't know him until we got hooked up together. And what it is that when he plucked me out of that hellhole we both was in, I realized I lived in paradise. And I come from, I got converted to church, to Christianity, only because uh, I had the fear of hanging out with my friends where some of them had passed away. Peer pressure. How do you say, curiosity skinned the cat. And a few of them died before they got out of grade school, middle school. And a few of them also died before they got out of high school under the influence of alcohol and dope. And I was going to be one of them. And I got converted and I stayed sober for a year and 11 months in a year and a half in high school. And then temptation took over. People in high school used to call me one religious fanatic, preaching the gospel, carrying a Bible rather than they know me. I've carried my dices, pairs of dices, and cards, and my cigarettes. And how I won friends was by stealing money from my parents because I liked the attention. I bought my friends. And now that I don't hang out with them guys, they was open to understand what I was talking about, trying to convert or say so that. And when I got out of high school, temptation took over. And when temptation took over, I realized what happened. Goodness. But I knew alcohol was dead and I was going to end up dead because I seen what happened to my friends. I seen a few friends come back from Vietnam who was member of the church and would hang out, would go back out, backslide. And so for the next 23 years of my adult life, I realized that alcohol was dead and I was going to end up dead. My thing is drug. I ain't going to talk about that. This is a room of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's all about respect. And so, see back here that this is for real, but it's just only a background from the computer that I have, my laptop. This was back in 1976, right out of high school, a year after high school, I joined a union, carpenters union. I'm a workaholic. And the first year I got caught for DUI. That was back in 71. I got caught in the same month of that year. And all you had to do, coming out of the bar. At 18, you still can drink and hang out in the bar. And they caught me, waiting for me out of the bar. Put me in there for 4 hours and then sober up and let me out after I pay $100. That happened to me twice in that same month. I heard on guys when I was in that driver's education. That's where they held our DUI classes, and they would tell us about people who get caught for DUI in the Middle East. Some places they put them on the firing squad. Yeah, that's their punishment. And anyway, I caught the bus with this one guy, and he asked me, I asked him how many times you got caught. He told me 7 times. Oh my goodness, 7 times. I got caught 4 times. Yeah. But this was back in 1975, 76, I believe. I was out in the ocean on a Memorial weekend, and we all drank. It's like where I'm standing now, and you see that island behind. We went out there on a boat, and for me to get on the island, we had to tread water to get onto the island, step on the rocks to walk onto the island. So for the next couple hours, might say maybe 18 hours, we was out drinking. I'm not a strong swimmer, but I went out there on the boat 12 o'clock midnight to lay the net. And when I got back on the island, just a few yards away, I stepped into a hole in a coral, and I was drifting away, and these three of my friends was not going to go do night diving. Two of them passed me as I yelled. I couldn't recall what happened, but the last one saved my life from going out in the ocean. It's one thing to be drowning, about eaten by the sharks. Oh my goodness. But he saved my life. And the next morning, I was on the island, on the top of the island, and I looked at the shoreline and this panoramic view of the shorelines, and I was very grateful. Thank you, God, for saving my life. And all of a sudden, after a few minutes, the thought came. I guess that's the thought of an alcoholic, the alcoholism. I'm supposed to be dead. I might as well just take my life and just party on. And that's what I did. That gratitude that I had was gone. And I drank like it was my last day, one day at a time, like there was no tomorrow. Imagine that for the next 20 years of plus 20 years. Always having good intentions, followed by regrets. I heard this one guy shared about having good intentions, but his intention wasn't to kill that child on the road while he was drunk. That's why I like to say I'm one of the fortunate. I'm very lucky. Because half the time I'm a fall down blackout drunk. The only thing I managed to do, because I'm a workaholic, is manage to hold my job. I'm a builder. I'm a construction worker. Never been fired. People depended on me, and I did my job under the influence of alcohol and dope to carry through the 8 hours, 7 days a week. I had no family. I was never married. Sure, I was shut up. But I realized when I look back and I took my inventory, damn, I was married to Queen Alcohol. It was the love of my life. So anyway, as the years gone by, like I said, my best friend, we was out together for about 10 years. And my fourth DUI, a judge told me that I gotta go to Alcoholics Anonymous. That's all I heard. I'll give you a month, but you're gonna have to do 10 meetings that month. You know what? I did that 10 meetings on the last 5 days of that month. So my designated driver took me around, and 8 o'clock, pretty soon it's the time for my meeting. So out of the bar after work, happy hour, you know how happy hour is. And I only had only 1 hour. This is how my cycle was. I would guzzle 4 bottles of beer in that 1 hour, and then I would black out. But then again, my friend would take me to the meeting. Now, we wasn't sober now, but he took me to the meeting. Oh, he wasn't sober. He took me to the meetings, and he would wait in the car, get my paper signed. And I remember somebody in there was telling me, Clarence, I think you should go to treatment. And I told him, I'm going to do self-treatment. Because I heard in commercials, you go to a treatment center for a month. I'm working. Me going to a treatment center. I don't know what that is all about. All I knew was they probably put you in a padded cell, lock you up for freaking 1 month, and then you come out. I'm gonna do self-treatment. So when I was done already with my 10 meetings, went back to court, I was good to go. This is how I self-treated myself. We came out of the bar. Now we're gonna chase the dough, and I took the wheel. I don't know why I took the wheel. I slammed into a moving telephone pole. That was my excuse, yeah. And the other excuse was because when I got the ticket, when a cop came to my place and gave me a citation, I looked at the time, and that's when the sun went down. Yeah, that was my second excuse. So I went back to the scene of the crime, and I called my friend. What happened? Go down the block. I was only a block away, not even a minute away from home. And I seen that the street light was off, and I seen children playing around at the corner, the telephone pole. My goodness, what happened? So I never drive after that because the thought came, I don't think I could live any longer if I killed somebody's child. So I did not drive no more till I got my license. A year and a half went by. A year and 11 months went by. That friend of mine, my designated driver, he came looking for me. He had a year and 11 months. He waited a year and 11 months till he could find me and tell me, Clarence, I got the help. Now, for some people, and I've heard it, they would say the gift of desperation. I never had that gift of desperation, only because I never asked for help. I wasn't that desperate to ask for help. But because he was my best friend, we always wanted to stop, I had the gift of accepting his help. If it wasn't for him, I would not be alive. Would never make it to these rooms. He was a Vietnam vet. He avenged his brother, my best friend. He told the brother not to play a hero. He got a Purple Heart for saving some of his friends in Vietnam. He joined the Marines only to avenge his brother's death and to kill as many enemies as he could. He came back with the enemy, which was him. He was his worst enemy. So he stayed sober for about 22 years and he passed away sober. That was our destiny. We did trudge the road of happy destiny. Our destiny. See, anyway, as I go along with my story, I never questioned him. Why did you wait a year and 11 months? Why did you wait? Why wait a year and 11 months? You know, I was telling myself, you know that I would have gotten sober, but that thought didn't come to mind. I probably, and I believe I know what his sponsor told him. Don't worry about your friend. Only by an act of God. That's the why we're here. Only by an act of God that we get here. When I saw that the ABCs and how it works, probably no human power going to relieve me of this alcoholism. It was my good friend who eventually became my sponsor because we both know where we came from. We both took each other inventory. We both were out there spiritually on the road. Spiritually, that demon spirit of alcohol and drugs was running our lives. So when I asked her, what is spirituality? He told me it's just doing good to yourself. It's about your well-being and finding your peace of mind. That's why I haven't gone out. My upbringing, Alcoholics Anonymous, yeah, was with a pack of guys, him, my best friend as my sponsor, and my home group. You know that day I went to work and he told me last week that he was gonna come pick me up. But the day came when he picked me up. I was in that bar, that watering hole that I go. I was a block away from where I used to work, where I worked at. I did my shenanigans in there. I drank. I was one of those, class and glamour. But I like that watering hole I was in. I was one of those runchy drunks too. I love the stink smell of these bars that I didn't want to go to that bar. What did low lives drink there? And that's what it is. I didn't know I paid a high price for a low life. The price I paid today is self-surrender, having that willingness. So when I got here and on my third DUI, I did community service at that meeting. I walked into that meeting, high as a kite and drunk. Well, not drunk, feeling good, but intoxicated. And I seen 100 people in that auditorium. There was 50 outside on the lawn, on the steps, and there's a couple others in the parking lot. Maybe 20 to 40, 50 people just hanging out, waiting for the meeting to end so they can get the paperback. Paperback ride. And just ride back to their destiny. I've gotten some friends who's been in and out 10 times, 15, detox 100 something times. I take them like it's maybe this time you're gonna get it. I have this friend of mine, yeah, 30 years. He was going in and out. Clarence, I found a good sponsor. He had about 5 good sponsors. Well, no, I mean, they were only good enough to stay sober. It's about being a good sponsee. How good are you to be a sponsee? And he passed away sober. I like to say he had permanent sobriety. 8 months. 8 months of sobriety. Permanent sobriety. So my life started, from day one started. And I looked around. See, I'm a gambler. And I know who's cheating. I know who's a crook on the table, who's dealing from the bottom, the undercard, they're dancing dices. So I got to go with the winners. So I look at all these people and say, man, look at all these winners. I asked my sponsor, all these guys sober? He said, yeah, they're all sober. Well, they're trying. And like I said, I'm a religious fanatic. If there's a God, show me, prove to me, God, that there is. This is the burning bush. My world had crashed, but it didn't burn. But the people in Alcoholics Anonymous had started my fire. And that week, that month, that year, I heard people talk about cult. This happened back in Texas, Waco. The cult leader took people down with the military, and he took down his people, the cult leader. This is not a cult, this is a culture of alcoholics who has this disease called alcoholism, helping one another stay sober. I call it the modern miracle. 1935, how does this all started? It started the same way Bill W. with one individual starts. They had a psychic change. And then secondly came is he had an attitude change. Because when I got here, I told my that, oh, okay, when I got into that coffee shop, I got introduced to the pack. I got into the coffee shop and I talked to my friend. I said, hey, you know that guy? He looks familiar, you know. He said, yeah, that's a judge. He's a judge. Thousands of alcoholics he would send to them on their DUIs. Oh, that's the guy. That's the guy who told me to go to AA on a fourth DUI. So because he was looking, because he is one of those smart looking guy, he always take off his glasses and rub his nose. So yeah, that guy probably gets some good drugs rubbing his nose the way he does. But anyway, I asked him because he was so smart looking, what is spirituality? He told me it's just doing good to yourself. That's all he said. I've always done bad to myself. I was my worst enemy. Why would I torture the way I did to myself? You know, your well-being, finding some peace, your mind. We came here with a broken heart and a sick soul. We gotta, your heart and soul is the memory of your mind. Can't do this with a wet brain, Clarence. He was facilitating one step study workshop, you know. And but anyway, as we went along, you know, that first night, the first day when I got my recovery, I was still intoxicated, but I still make that my anniversary date, August the 5th of 93. And he told me, Clarence, I want you to go home. Do not go back out. He knew I was going back out. You know, that I was going back out. But that was my routine. Today, every time I put my head down, it's my ritual to go to sleep sober, wake up a recovering alcoholic the next day. So he told me, I want you to go pray. And I'm the kind of guy that prays because at church they used to ask me, Clarence, why don't you go in the back room and grab all the prayer requests and start praying for these people? So now I'm praying for myself. God help Gordon to help himself, to help me so I can help someone else. But God, take care of yourself so you can continue to take care of us. That's all. And that was my journey on. You know, so I had no problem going to meetings. No problem calling me. Just to call my friend, my sponsor. I'm ready. He'd always pick me up to the meetings. That was my upbringing. That's how my recovery started. For some many years, I used to pick up my friend. We go to bars, we chase the dope, we do this, we do that. We was working together for cash money at times. But now he's picking me up to go to an AA meeting. And that's what it is. You know, I heard somebody share, somebody would tell me that how they would, oh, Clarence, after hearing my story, you're a high bottom drunk, aren't you? Little old lady from Pasadena would tell me that. And I said, I guess so. Yeah, me too. I'm a high bottom drunk with a low bottom effing attitude. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a witch. Should probably drink me under the table. And it's 3.5 years, yeah, because I had a job, I had money in the bank, I had a luxury car, I had all that. But I didn't have a license. You know how they say, yeah, I didn't lose everything. I mean, I wasn't one that was homeless or this and that. But the whole deal of it was that you might say, uh, I had all the material things, but I lost my license and I was about to lose my mind. Yeah, that's the way it went. So now I lost everything because it's my fault. I lost everything because now it's my fault. 3.5 years now. I didn't want to drink, but I wanted to kill myself because I thought everybody was so happy and gay and having a good time. And here Clarence is feeling miserable about himself. And what does he do? Thinking about killing himself. I was better off dead than dying. I didn't want to drink. Why would I want to drink? It's only going to make it worse. I'm only going to be making it miserable. I was better off dead than dying before I got here. But I was talking to my sponsor. He said, Clarence, you know what? The talking is over now. Okay? You got to stop talking about this. You got to start walking it. It's all about walk. He told me, no, push me on sermon, Clarence. Show me, show you that you can get through all this. Faith without work is dead. Work without faith is also dead. You got to do something about it. You cannot be sitting on your pity pot. You're there too long. You get rings around your ass. And what happened was that I just didn't have any strength. You know, when we first come in, or when I first came in, I was gung ho in the beginning. Once I put down that alcohol, I get the power now. I get that energy now. I get that strength now. I get that, how do you say, I get that force against the temptation of the drink and whatever. I get all that. But now with 3.5 years, and you know so damn much, but it's not what you know, Clarence, it's what you do. I just didn't want to do anything. I felt weak. And this one guy, this kid came up to me and told me, Clarence, you think you can help me? And so he saved my life. He saved my life. He's 26 years. We was just talking now. It's just, he's just talking. See how he doing. He doing well still. He going all right. We got two kinds of days. We get good days in recovery, and then we get days we just don't effing drink. But we get through it. I wanted 30 years with my 30 days when I started. It doesn't work that way. Oh, those 30 years are rough. So my sponsor said when I first got here, he said, get on the bull, bro. You're going to be on a rough ride. But if you're not ready, if you go back out, hope you get back in again. I'll still be here. So I helped him. I had for about 5 months, he saved my life. 5 months. I say that because now I got money. I've been with my carpenters union for 25 years. Now I have the annuity, I have the pension, retirement. Oh, the money coming in now. You know, this all started from the very beginning when Bill W. was doing some business. But before there was a Superman, Bill W. went in a telephone booth. Yeah. He went into the director. He was looking for another alcoholic because he was going crazy. He wanted to drink, I think. He got to meet up with Dr. Bob. He said, I don't think he told him, to save his life. Like they said, telephone calls saves 2 lives. So, and then another miracle came. I said, I was never married. You might say I was married to Queen Alcohol. She took me to the cleaners. Love and hate relationship. This girl met me. Okay, she met me. She 14 stepped me. I told my sponsor, hey, I met this girl. I said, yeah. Oh, how much time she get? She get she's coming up on a year. Oh yeah, how many months? I think 5.5 months. And what? She gets five and a half months, and you get 3.5 years. So look at the picture. What's wrong with you? So the pack of guys that I have, I introduced them at the coffee shop, and they kept me grounded. She took advantage of me. I never take advantage of her. I wasn't looking. I didn't have, what do I have? We've been going together for 30 years. We've been married for 26 years. She's still around. And that's a beautiful thing because what I'm going to do when either one of us pass, because we have nobody except us. We don't have children. She's from West Virginia. And no, it wasn't a shotgun wedding. She's a hillbilly. So glad she found me. Yeah. I was a lost cause. And she's still there and still doing well together. You know, and I like this the theme of this meeting. Oh my goodness, serenity improvement. That's why, you know, my thing is the 11-step prayer to improve my conscious contact with this God and my understanding. That's where the disease lies. That's why I find that dis-ease. When they told me about if God is going to run your ass out of Alcoholics Anonymous, if you're lucky, alcohol and drugs going to run your ass back in here. If you're lucky, not that many people make it here. You know, and I realized through my experience, oh my goodness, you know, I had a brother and a sister, 10 years, they took their lives sober in the name of love. They had sponsees, hold step study workshops, hung themselves. You know, that for me, I was gonna drink till I die. Like I said, I accepted the help. I didn't that I knew where the help was. Go back to church. Yeah. But I had too much pride to go back. And what I found out is that it's not about the drink, it's not about the alcohol. Alcohol is just the symptoms, like they say. I'm never ever gonna be recovered by this alcoholism as long as I live. I'll still have this ego edging God out. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking and start living. My sponsor told me, what do you think about God? I have a label. Uh, he's my uh, he's my maker, he's my creator, spirit of the universe, and he's also my designer. Because my sponsor told me AA was a design for living. So he's my designer. And I found the remedies, the solutions, and everything that else is in a book, AA textbook, and the steps. I had to take inventory. He told me, you got to take inventory, Clarence, only because we didn't know who the hell we were. Absence of self. That's why it's so important to take inventory so you can take yourself and find peace. You know, I realized that I've been coming to Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's about the living versus the dying. And today, I still have problems. I still have problems. A has taught me for right living and happiness, yeah. But I still wallow in my past. Only because that part about making amends to my parents. But I gotta be on the top of the list. I gotta make amends to myself. The things that I did to myself. I do that, but it comes back. The things I did to my parents, the ones that loved me. I took care of my dad. He passed away 12 years now, 97 years old. We had a hard time together. He was very independent. He took care of my four sisters and me. My mom was untreated for alcoholism. She left the family. The greatest love is motherly love. And back in 1984, she called me. I haven't seen her for, 7 months. Hi, Clarence, how you doing? I'm hungry. And so I was drunk. I wasn't feeling well. Uh, Ma, I see you tomorrow. Said, okay. She wasn't hungry. She wanted to see me for the last time. She passed away. She had pneumonia, neglect. Motherly love. The only reason why I'm here. My cousin would tell me, "Oh, I seen your mom. She was at church again." The power of prayer. Because I'm sober, because she prayed that I could get help, could have a better life. And I never tell my full sisters about this. Why? Why should I? So for me, I still carry that. I still carry that grief. Not so much my mother's passing, but she would have been alive. I could have called the ambulance. At least for a few days, she could have been with my sponsor when he passed away. Right? He was on the heart machine. And my sponsor, we always laughed. We always had a good time. Always laugh. And every time I go to him with a problem, he tells me, "Oh, Clarence, so how you doing?" I said, "Oh man, I don't usually cry like this." I said, "Oh, guess we gotta pull a plug, and crap hit the fan. You gotta pull the plug." So I whispered in his ears, because they say that's the last thing, that's the last sense that goes, right? They hear it. They hear you. Hey, Gordon, before everybody comes check you out, I'm gonna be asking your sister if I can pull a plug on you.
5 minutes, Clarence. Five
Thank you,
minutes.
Diana. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we chuckled, and the thing about it is, all my pack members are gone now. My two sponsors and his sponsor. His sponsor, he's been a big help for all of us. And the sponsors, my buddies, they are military ranking officers. He sponsored the judge, a couple lawyers. My two sponsors I had was in the pack too. They're truck drivers, and one of them working in the movies is a big, large Samoan man. And they all passed away. And our thing is that, Clarence, we're all going to be resting in peace one day. Why can't you rest in peace when you're alive? That's why, I heard this song by Hernandez, and I love that song. Because what do you want to be? A baby or a bird? A pigeon? A pigeon, because alcohol took away the sky, we lost its purpose. I realized, I want to be a baby now. Born again, born to be alive. I gotta keep that. But then, so it was said that, they all resting in peace. But that sponsor that sponsored my pack members and my two sponsors, he's a rubbish man. He collects rubbish in the city and county of Honolulu. And his saying is, man, you got to take care of your trash or you're going to end up in a rubbish bin. We came here as a gift, and I was about to trash my life. And so I'm here. That's why, our thing was here to stay. I've heard about one life, and we do to die. What you gonna do in between that? Sobriety, recovery. I got to remember that alcoholism. Thank God I'm treated for this alcoholism. It's progressive, incurable, a fatal illness. People die from this disease. So I come here and I listen to the shares of the people, and God speaks through you folks. And that's the only reason why I'm sober, because of if you've been where I've been, I'm listening. Oh, well, many of you guys went way, way further down the scale. My goodness. That's my yets. So that's why when I come here and when we in my meeting, we have about 80 people in a circle. And if you notice, we're having the Lord's closing prayer. as I notice there's nobody above me, nobody below me, nobody in front of me, nobody behind me. We do this equally side by side. But when people talk about time don't matter, yeah, time don't matter for me when I'm dead. Things I must earn, time, the acronym for time. Time takes time. The acronym for God is guidance, obedience, and discipline. I never had any of that. It takes a lot of work to do this. But we get to enjoy it. Yeah. No monetary or anything like that. The only thing I had to pay is free. The only thing I had to pay was pay attention. Free to have freedom. I never get up this morning with the four insidious horsemen. Terror, bewilderment, frustration, and despair, but I got to get up with that restless, irritable, and discontent, but I have that defense against that. God has provided the offense with those. If you don't believe in God, well, use that spiritual principles. Live in life on life terms, spiritual principles terms. Use that. I'm sure that will help. So with that, thank you, Diana. I love you so much for having me to come here and share with you guys. And aloha. You know that word aloha means love. Hope to see you again. There's two A's on each end of that word. Yeah. Aloha.